The Catholic Church, the Catholic faith, is not and can never be a checklist. Hey guys, hey everyone. Welcome to another episode or the second episode of God, Culture, and Me. I did not get to introduce myself in the last podcast. I am Tovia Generates, and if you did not play the last podcast, you should go do so right now because this one is a spin-off of that one. We'll be talking about um age, how important age is when it comes to receiving sacraments in the Catholic Church. I have a guest with me. My first time having a guest, Cindy, one of my friends. So Cindy, say hi.
Hi.
Okay. Cindy watched my podcast and said she has one or two things to share and she'd like to come on the next one. So here she is today. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Okay, so Um, in episode one, first episode, I shared my take that in the Catholic Church, especially here in Nigeria, they have turned sacraments into a age-based checklist. That at a particular age, you rush. Okay, they say, okay, you're ready for baptism. You get baptized. I don't have a problem with the baptism on. My issue comes in some areas, for First Holy Communion, and then mostly for the receipt of confirmation and the discernment process as per choosing of vocations. Um, so this isn't just going to be a conversation, it's like a call to reflection. Are we raising faithful Catholics? Are there faithful Catholics? Or are we just completing a list? So yeah, Cindy, you watched or you listened to my first podcast. Do you have anything against it? Do you have anything you have to say about it?
um. Well, I feel the age stuff is not really a factor to be checked because at every point of our life, I feel people are just different. We have diverse personalities, so it doesn't really have anything to do with age. Sacrament should be received by candidates or by people who have that discerning spirit. As long as you know good from bad, as long as you can be able to discern it, then I feel you should just go ahead and receive the sacrament. Because basically, sacrament is something that draws us closer to God. It is an outward sign of inward grace. It's not about what we receive, it's about how well it has reflected in our soul, how well we tend to portray that which we've received. So speaking about about age as a factor that will prevent people from receiving communion or maybe let me say confirmation, I really don't feel it's necessary. As long as they are able to the task, if they are equal to the task, they should just go about and they should just receive it. So that's what I feel. Except for other confirmations, other sacraments, sorry, like matrimony, then the age factor should be considered. Baptism, speaking of that, Seth, if you said age is a factor, just contemplate. The church have something we call infant baptism and adult baptism. So for infant baptism, you receive it based on your guardians or godparents' faith because you are not old enough to make decisions. Then for the adult baptism, you receive it with your faith. So this is the church trying to help make us understand that age is not really a factor. It is not a barrier for getting the sacrament. It's just about how well we receive it and how well it acts in our lives.
The Catholic Church has guidelines set. I believe maybe 7 years for communion. Is that correct? 7 years for communion, and infant baptism. I don't have anything against infant baptism because I believe there's a difference between all the sacraments. In as much as a sacrament is an outward sign of inward grace, but baptism as it is what is supposed to make us Christians. You become a Christian no matter the church, you're supposed to get baptized. I believe that's how it is. It's just maybe some don't believe in the Trinitarian method of being baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Some churches don't believe in that. As I was told, maybe is it I'm not sure if it's the Anglican church that, and just know, if you get baptized in whatever church and they baptized you with the, like, in the words, in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit, and you want to become a Catholic, they don't baptize you again
Yeah.
because Baptism is just an entrance. Okay, you are a Christian, you have been baptized. That is baptism. But the first Holy Communion and confirmation, they are very different. In as much as there are still signs of outward grace, like inward, there are still signs of inward grace, yes. But there's something different. The church sets minimum ages, and I feel like those ages are just supposed to be guidelines. Not to say at 7 years you should go, like you must receive communion. No. I feel like they're just guidelines in that from 7 years you should be able to know that, okay, I should receive communion. My issue starts from the fact that in catechism classes of nowadays, both catechism and confirmation, if you want to go for the class, they actually sometimes, most times, you are beaten if you fail a question. Your parents have to force you out of the house to go for those classes. Sometimes you go for the class and you will not even pay attention. My baptism classes, I said baptism, sorry, my first Holy Communion, my catechism classes, if I remember correctly, they were just cramming sessions, if I'm being honest. I honestly did not understand anything when I went for those classes because they were just cramming sessions. Who made you? God made you. Why did God make you? That's just it. And the charge, or the, sorry, I said charge. They score you or allow you to receive the sacraments based on your cramming capabilities. Yes, that's just my issue. And I feel like they are turning the sacraments into like a ritual, not thinking about the meaning. And this is actually, it's not, has nothing to do with the church. I made that known the first time. It has absolutely nothing to do with the church. People are making it to seem like, parents are making it to seem like once you're done with baptism, next thing, Holy Eucharist. It's as if they just want to take a picture with you in a white dress. And I feel like it's wrong. Do you remember your confirmation?
I will tell you I received it.
Yeah, like that period. You remember your confirmation?
Yeah,
Like around what age? Do you think you knew what it was? Like, did you knew at age? Do you think you knew what you were receiving at that point
at
in
that
time?
point, well, to be honest, I don't really think I do. I was just 11, but then, then I grabbed the laws. But then, confirmation is actually what is supposed to like make you soldiers of Christ. At that point, I've received it, but there was no way I was going to defend the Catholic Church because it's not as if I know every doctrine of Catholic Church. So
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel Holy Communion, the Holy Eucharist, builds you or tries to help you grow your faith. But when it comes to the sacrament of confirmation, confirmation is supposed to help you to become a soldier of Christ. When you receive confirmation, you're supposed to know that, yes, this Catholic doctrine, this Catholic faith, I stand by it with my life. I am a Catholic to the end. I know sometimes they will say, okay, you can change your mind, you can change your decision. That is why they're supposed to give you time. That's why they're supposed to give you time and not just rush into this sacrament. When I received my confirmation, I think I was like 13, 14. I was in a boarding school, and I'm very sure I remember correctly because I remember the exact day I received that sacrament. It was in October. It was in October. I'm not really sure of the year, but I remember the experience. I remember it very well. And I know that for the classes, I wasn't forced to attend those classes. They told us if you're a Catholic, you don't want to go for the confirmation class, fine, go to Bible study. That's what they told us. So I feel like the whole issue or the whole talk of my child has to go for Holy Communion, let her go, let her go. It's not a, let's say it's not a do or die affair. I don't know. You are trying to raise your child to follow the Catholic doctrine. Doesn't mean every sacrament must be followed by force. You don't have to beat this child to be able to go to church. The child should be able to know that I have to go to church. That's the difference. That is the thing. That's the thing. That's so why are we confirming children? That's my whole thing. Why are you confirming children? When I was in my church growing up, they told us you cannot get confirmed if you're not up to 16.
wow.
But I did not look my age. And I don't think they really dwelt on my age because I don't remember being asked my age. But I know that they told us at least 2 years after receiving Holy Eucharist and that you need to be up to 16. I wasn't up to 16, but I showed interest in everything that concerned the church, and they found me okay. Even though there are some people that passed the exam, but they didn't allow them to receive this confirmation, this sacrament, because they felt they were not ready. That's what I think is very important. Age is important because you grow with your mindset. You grow. Some people don't grow with their mindset. That's why age is important. You need to gauge. You are 7, you are 10. Even if you are 10, you don't have to force this child to go to receive Holy Eucharist because the child is 10 and hasn't received, and their age mates have received. It's wrong. The child is 10. Is the child showing effort that you want to go to church? And is the child still sleeping, unrepentantly sleeping during mass? That's something very important. Because there's a point in time you'll be sleeping. Oh, I'm tired. You just fall asleep during church.
Yeah,
But there are sometimes you will sleep and then you feel, oh my god, I slept again. You're feeling bad. Is your
exactly.
child at that stage? Is your child at that stage? If your child is at that stage, you say, okay, I feel like yes, this my baby is ready. This she's like growing in the faith. She's ready to actually put her mind and her heart into it. You need to show signs that okay, this person is this my baby is actually growing in love for our Lord. Is actually growing in love for Christ. Before issuing, okay, let's go for confirmation classes, especially confirmation. That's just my whole argument in this whole thing. That's just my whole argument in this whole thing. So, do you think the church would lose anything if they slow the process down and focus more on personal readiness? Do you understand the question?
Yeah, I do. Well, I don't think the church has any role to play. It should just be about family, parents, children, relationship. Before this age factor stuff, I feel like if parents, because if parents actually teach their children, if they take their children to church regularly, those children will see the need. They will desire to be in the presence of the Lord, like always. There are some children who, some Catholic homes, they don't even attend masses regularly except on Sundays. That's because maybe their parents are busy or they have one or two stuffs they are running, just because of some random issues or some random problems that they are busy trying how to solve it or something like that. So I just feel like if their parents, it's not about the children age right now, it's just about the parents. So if the parents actually focus, if the parents know what Catholic Church entails, the doctrines and everything, take your child to church, preach, pray the rosary. There are some morning devotions you have to do. You don't just wake up in the morning and then all you think about is how to prepare meals for your children, take them to school. No, you play some certain roles in your child life. From this, you'll be so shocked that a child of 6 years is even showing interest. You'll be like, Mom, what are you receiving? You ask questions, because children don't even, they show interest in what people like. It's about what they see. Exactly. Children are these curious kind of people. They just want to, they ask questions. They are too inquisitive, actually. So the more your parents take you to church and you're like, mommy, every time I want to go and kneel down with you, because I know my little brother once told my mom that stuff. It was 5 years old. He was like, mommy, I want to go there. My mom was like, no, it's I want to receive. What is that thing that father puts on your mouth? I want to take it. And then he showed passion. The interest was there. But the mom now at that part, what the mom has to do is to try to like encourage him and tell him, okay, you get to that point, you receive it at so age. She don't have to like enforce it. At least the child has showed interest now. Age is a factor at this point, because the child is still like very, very tender. He doesn't really know what he's receiving. He's just drawn by the attraction that, okay, I want to do what other people are doing. So it's at this point that you have to now inculcate discipline in him and tell him that, okay, you have to get to a certain level, you have to attend class for it, you have to go to church regularly, you have to desire the Holy Eucharist, desire Jesus, you have to speak to Jesus, this and that, build your relationship with Christ. And from there, the child will just develop interest, and constantly they'll keep acting towards it, trying to achieve that goal, because they've seen it as a goal that they are trying to now achieve. They'll work towards it. So at that point, I feel like it just have to do with parents. Because I don't think there's any child whose parents only attend church once every week, like Sunday medicine kind of parents. And then you tell me that the child is longing for for receiving the Eucharist.
Exactly.
Age becomes a factor at that age, because the child doesn't really know what the child is doing there.
So why would you think parents are eager to push their children through sacraments, even though they don't think, or even though they don't really know how much of a spiritual interest the child has? Because as at now, I can actually pledge to say my mother keeps reminding my brother, "You have catechism tomorrow. You have catechism tomorrow."
I
But
feel they just believe that pushing them towards the sacraments makes them go closer to God. Because if you are a Catholic and you receive Jesus, if you receive the Holy Eucharist, you will see the need of attending Mass, you see the need of maintaining a chaste life, you will see the need of chasing perfection in the things of Christ. You get? Okay, you cannot go to church and then there's this guilt you feel. Like for me, myself, there's this guilt I feel if I go to church and I did not receive Jesus, when I know that I'm supposed to receive because of one thing. So it's kind of like, it tends to like cut you off from some negative things you're supposed to do. So parents just have that mindset that, okay, if I allow my child to go to catechism class, it's to make them voice normal, they like playing ball, they'll be disobedient, but it's to at least push them to things of Christ, and instead they will be in church. Instead of them to be watching cartoons at home, they remember that they have to attend mass because they want to receive. There's this hunger. Once you start receiving the Eucharist, there's this hunger and there's this thirst for the body and Christ of Christ, for the body and blood of Christ. So they tend to like develop more interest, and then they see the need to attend mass regularly, if not for anything, just to receive it. But then it actually makes an impact in their soul. So the church making that, I don't think the church even have any.
I don't think
Yeah, I don't think it's about the church, because all this thing, if they should give a guideline in your former parish, they are like 16 years. I think there should be a range for it. 16 years is just for normal people. They feel like, okay,
by that
my
age, you should know what
exactly,
you
you should know what you are receiving. You will not be forced, you will not be biased, you know what you are receiving, and that's just the aim of everything. Know what you are receiving, have that passion. Nothing, no sacrament in church has to do with, I think all the sacraments we receive in the church, it has to do with our personal relationship with Christ, because nobody forces you to do anything. Even in career, forget about the Catholic Church. Even in career, if somebody forces you to study nursing, you will not enjoy it when you get there. You're somebody that don't like seeing blood, and somebody is forcing you that, we already have lawyer, I don't want to have two children who study the same course. No, go there. I want to be called manors. Like, what's that? If you go there, you will lose interest. So the church just sets the 16 as a guideline that, okay, at this point respect everybody. But I feel all people, personalities are different. We are all diverse personalities at this stage. You might be eating, maybe because of environmental factors or because of what you digest, the diet you digest, you will know that this person is even more wiser. So there should be a range. Maybe 16 is just what they feel like is right. But you'll see children from like 11 or let me say 10 who have the same mindset as someone who is 16, and they are like, so you see, it's not really, I don't think the church has a major role in it. The church is just there to support us, right?
I don't know why, but I feel like mindset is not really of the priority when it comes to confirmation. It might be of the priority in First Holy Communion, like Holy Eucharist, but I don't think it's of priority when it comes to confirmation. I think what's of priority in confirmation is having the will. It's not exactly of mindset. You might want to do something, but you just don't do it. Will aspire. You can throw every other thing you have planned just for you to go for that particular thing. Why I'm saying that is because confirmation shows that you actually have 100% will that it is this thing you want to do. Why I'm saying my age was okay for me for confirmation is that I was in boarding and they didn't drag us to go for our classes. They told us you should go for the classes. They don't remind us there's a time set for it. You can choose. I know there are some days I just couldn't go. I just didn't feel like going. I think it happened twice when I first started. I went for Bible study. Nobody pressurized me to go for confirmation class, like confirmation class. But at the point, I knew that no, this thing I'm doing is not good. It's not good. And then people need to watch what they teach people in confirmation classes. I think confirmation classes is not just that little pamphlet, that confirmation, that catechism book. Even though you go through the catechism book, you have to be teaching them values, things to add to their faith to make the faith stronger. Those are also very important. Then last question I have for you: if a child grows up and realizes they never understood what they received, did the sacrament still mean anything to them?
What's the essence of sacraments if you don't understand what you receive?
There are some sacraments that you only receive once, even if it didn't mean anything to you, they can't do it again.
Well, exactly.
So,
You just have
do you
to make
think it still
effort.
meant anything to them? Like maybe growing up, you did not know what Holy Eucharist was. They just made you cram it. You just took it. Then now you're just realizing that time you don't have anything in your head. Oh, I did not know anything. No.
The deed has been done. All you have to do is just work towards it. Just have to work towards it and just get the best you can get out from it. Or else if you are planning on changing church, but then nobody wants to change from
Nobody
the
wants
Catholic
that.
faith. Nobody wants
Nobody
to
wants
change.
that. Nobody wants
So
that.
just work towards it. At least it's a thing of joy that you actually receive the sacrament and
Okay. So
yeah.
yeah, I guess that.
Furthermore, I think you can still enroll in catechism class just to learn more. I
Exactly.
think when we
Catechism
are
class is
growing,
not just
yes, it doesn't
for.
end just
It doesn't
because you
end
want to
at the
receive.
sacrament. Exactly.
I remember they told us that after we received our own sacraments,
Yeah.
First Holy Communion back then, you were like, we should still come or that we'll still learn some certain stuffs. Because how many years we used in learning that? I think the class was just for a period of 1 year. So just a period of 1 year. And it was not like everyday class. If you count it, how many days in a week? Just twice every week, Saturdays and Sundays. So they're like, we should come or we can still learn more, ask question. You know, the church is universal, like it's too broad. There's doctrine, there's Bible, you have a lot to learn. So don't just settle for the pamphlets, which is not even usually completed. And as we know, we just crammed it just because we wanted to pass.
Exactly.
We just crammed to pass our
You know that
exam.
the reason that catechism class was created so that you know about your faith, not so
Yeah.
that you receive a sacrament. That's not what catechism classes are for. So if you're a parent listening to this is a is it like a go ahead? Would I use go ahead? That's not a go ahead. No, this is like a heads up that the faith is not a checklist for your child. Tell
Yeah,
them
at
and make
all.
them understand what they are going for. Let them understand what they are receiving, so that you don't make complaints later that your child entered school, university, and they are not going to church. Because this is how it starts. You are
Yeah.
forcing the child to go to church when they are in the house. Force them to catechism classes. Force them to receive communion, and then they enter school, and nobody's there to force them again, and they are not going to church. This is how it starts. Yeah. So guidelines from this or points from this, we have the sacraments requires understanding, not just participation. Parents must treat sacraments like parents around in Nigeria, especially in Nigeria, they treat sacraments like school achievements. And your graduation gown is a white, it's all white, and not spiritual steps, which is actually wrong. Receiving the Holy Communion and confirmation and other sacraments without knowing what they mean, it cheapens the experience. It cheapens the experience, honestly. Because if you know what you are receiving, that day will
You
just be
won't even
so
trade it for
amazing.
anything,
I
seriously.
remember my first communion like it was yesterday. Like my first penance. Jeez.
Oh,
I
like,
wanted to fly. It was amazing.
I sure.
Like I felt so light. My first confession, I felt so light. And Nigerian parent, Nigeria is especially guilty of making sacraments a checklist. And once they reach that age, they should just tick the box, even if they don't understand, which is wrong. Your child is 10, your child is 12. Let them continue going for that class. If the teacher says they are
Yeah,
not
just
ready,
and I feel they like
exactly.
comparing. Just stop the
Don't
comparison.
compare, especially
Mama
if
Emeka's child is already receiving. It doesn't mean your own child has to receive.
grows.
Do you know there was one child when we were receiving this thing? You know there is this exam you have to pass. You have to
Yeah.
like write about 3 exams.
Exam,
So the guy failed the other exam, and the mother she came to the church, and she met our teacher. And she was like, the woman was ranting,
Voila.
She was ranting that how will they fail a child? It was at that point I was like, it's just now I'm trying to like recall everything and I'm like, this thing doesn't really make sense. So they failed your child because he doesn't know what he's receiving. You have to have adept knowledge, you have to have full knowledge of what you are receiving before you'll be able to receive it. And then you came ranting. It's not you to be happy that they've saved your child. Yeah. This one was actually ranting on our teacher, or that our teacher is not supposed to like disqualify her son, that the son has put in too many interests, that this and that, that and that. I was like,
So you have to, as a parent or as a teacher, you have to look into the child, look into the person. Are they making sacrifices for this thing? Are they making sacrifices for this? Do they keep talking about it? If they ask questions, answer. Because all these are really important. Very, very important. They say that God looks at the heart, that it's not the age that matters, it's the heart. But yourself, you cannot see the heart of that child. You don't know. Your child that is obsessing over, mommy, buy me sweets, mommy, buy me cake. I want to do kick ball. No, no. You have to make sure that that child is actually showing what is inside the heart outward. That's when you know what is in the heart. Is the child making sacrifices? Okay, what I want to watch is by 10. You have been making noise. I want to watch this, I want to watch this thing, but you have catechism class by that same 10. And the child says, okay, I'll leave this thing, or I'll leave this thing, let me just go for the catechism. And you hear the child saying it, you feel like, My child is growing. My child is growing so fast. Yeah, so okay, thank you for coming today. Thank you for talking with us. This conversation, it will not and it cannot end today. It's an ongoing conversation you can have in your homes, you can have mentally, and it's fine. That's how it is. Some people see sacraments as checkpoints, and it's not supposed to be like that. We here, we see it as experiences that should be deeply felt. They should not be scheduled. They should not be based on age. They should not be based on age. So let me know what you think. Does age matter in the church, or are we just missing the point?